Okay. Good evening. I'm Penny Githens, a candidate for the Indiana House in District 62. I grew up in Richmond. I have a bachelor's degree from Purdue, a master's degree from IU. Some people say I moved up. And my husband and I chose to raise our two boys here in Bloomington, a place where he grew up. I'm currently a Monroe County Commissioner, which is a challenging and fulfilling job. But my hands are tied when it comes to issues like pay equity, paid family leave, and increasing the minimum wage. And so tonight I'm here to talk about my priorities. First, at a time when Indiana is sitting on a record surplus, we should increase teacher pay, provide more support for rural schools, and institute universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds. Second, many of our homeless and those in our local jail are suffering from mental illness or substance use disorders. And we need to increase treatment options to help keep people employed, keep families together, and save taxpayer money. Third, too many working Hoosiers live in poverty. I support expanding unions and increasing the minimum wage. I believe tax incentives should be restricted to companies that pay a living wage to their workers. But platform isn't everything. As you listen this evening, please think about which candidate you trust and which candidate shares your values. Thank you.
Swain. I'm Brad Swain, and I'm running for House of Representatives, District 62. For the past 35 years, I've served in public safety with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I began there at the entry level as a jail officer. Through the decades, I've progressed through the ranks, and in 2015, I assumed the office as the sheriff. I grew up in Arlington, just outside the west side of Bloomington. I graduated from Bloomington North. I have a degree from Vincennes University. I'm a graduate of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, the FBI National Academy, and the National Sheriff's Institute. I've been married over 30 years to Amy, and we have a farm in southern Monroe County. My brother and I also operate a hardwood tree farm down in Perry County. I've been a big brother and have been a member of the local Lions Club for 15 years. Serving as president, I've served 13 years on the board of directors for my fire department. Term limits as sheriff moved me to move on to the next part of my life. I wish to continue to serve this part of Indiana, and I ask you to consider me to be your representative. Stay.
If elected, would you support repealing the so-called right-to-work law in Indiana? Why or why not?
I support any attempt to repeal the right to work. For an employee to opt out of belonging to a union or a collective bargaining unit and reap the benefits of that organization is just something that I don't find is just. If that union made it possible for that workplace to have wages, benefits, and protections that make a person feel that that's a good place to work, then they should also participate with the organization that made that happen.
I absolutely support repealing the so-called right-to-work law. Right to work is a misnomer. It should be called the right to work for less. In 2012, Indiana became the 23rd state to enact a right-to-work law that prohibits unions from forcing non-members to pay the so-called agency fees as a condition of working at a unionized firms. Now, you all know that large sums of money have been spent backing right-to-work laws, with lobbyists claiming that these laws significantly improve both the number of jobs in a state and the wages people can earn, because companies that had avoided being in the state would suddenly flock there. Now, according to the Economic Policy Institute, the evidence shows that these claims are completely without any scientific foundation. In fact, in 2012, EPI reported that the right-to-work laws reduce wages for both union and non-union workers. They lower the likelihood that employees get health care or pensions through their jobs, again, both for union and non-union workers. And they have no impact whatsoever on economic growth. And for all these reasons, I support repealing the so-called right-to-work law here in Indiana.
Do you support the right of state and local public employees to collectively bargain, or do you make a distinction between employees at different local levels?
Thank you. Yes, I support the right of public employees, and I think they should be allowed to enter into collective bargaining agreements. I make absolutely no distinction between employees at the different levels. And as a county commissioner, I support our county employees' right in all departments to bargain collectively for wages and benefits. However, as Commissioner Jones told you, we don't always have, as a county commissioner, we don't always have that right. And that's part of the reason also that I am running for state representative, is that the state has taken away control from local governments. We need to return some of that control. So thank you.
I do support this. I've enjoyed the outcome of collective bargaining with the sheriff's office. I've seen the benefits that collective bargaining has with being able to explain the unique particular issues with your workplace. I've enjoyed that with separate collective bargaining units with the jail and then on the law enforcement side. It offers employees that opportunity to talk about what is unique with their job. It also gives you a chance to talk about certain specialties one person may have where they should receive additional compensation, as well as work conditions. Working in the jail has its own unique challenges, and to be able to bargain and present those challenges so those that make decisions on salaries are able to justify extra pay. As far as a distinction, right now county government does make a distinction and has bargaining with those who work extraordinary hours, extraordinary situations, subject to call out. I would support the opportunity for any other aspect of local government to be able to approach their employer without any risk of retaliation to discuss the possibility of collective bargaining. Thank you. They'll have me trained pretty well here in a minute. So.
And Swain, do you support project labor agreements? Why or why not?
I do support PLAs. President Biden recently issued an executive order explaining the reasons for PLAs and why they are of a benefit to large federal construction projects, the ability to keep work stoppages to a minimum to make sure there's quality of work. My personal viewpoint, a lot of those benefits were spelled out in that executive order, but I see it as an opportunity for unions to be able to bid fairly, that every construction firm, as an example of needing a PLA, is going to have to bid at the same rate as an employer who has a union workforce. The reason a union workforce should be paid higher, and most times are, is the unions are training and providing the skills for their members. So when they come to a workforce or a work site, they have a lot of skills and professional knowledge on constructing things appropriately. So that training requires additional pay. For a firm or a fly-by-night company to be able to have access and not do as good a work as a union-trained skilled laborer puts an unfair advantage, so everyone ought to have the same skin in the game. Just for bidding projects and things, I think that a PLA offers a great guideline for anyone wishing to do business with government. Thank you.
Yes, I definitely support project labor agreements, also known as PLAs. For those of you who aren't familiar with them, PLAs have been used since the 1930s and are used in building construction projects, not just federal ones, but at state and sometimes even local. A PLA is a master agreement with all the various trade unions that will be working on a project. This makes projects go more smoothly by guaranteeing all of the skilled labor necessary to get that job done. The labor unions also agree not to strike during that project. Some try to argue that the use of a PLA drives up cost. The data, notice I keep saying the word data, the data says that contract bids are not higher when a PLA is involved. What a PLA does is enhance the bargaining power of labor vis-a-vis employers. The better deal for labor comes at the expense of profits, not taxpayers. Now, businesses will only bid for a project if they can earn a competitive return. But what is eliminated with a PLA is the supernormal profits obtained in bidding down wages in an otherwise unfair bargaining system. PLAs keep the project local. They allow for apprenticeships, even paid apprenticeships, and they are the right thing to be doing. So I definitely do support the use of PLAs.
Thank you for speaking tonight. If you could please provide a closing statement, you have a minute. Candidate Swain.
Do you want him to go first?
Yes, sorry.
And is it half a minute or a minute?
It's a half.
Oh, I thought it was a minute and
Oh,
a half.
minute, sorry.
Okay.
You should be moderated.
90 seconds, right? All right. That I can do. I decided to run for District 62 pretty quickly after learning that it had been redistricted, including southern Monroe County, Olive Brown, a touch of Jackson. And that was while the incumbent was still living in Monroe County. I fully intended to run against the incumbent. I felt confident I could beat him in the fall. He has since removed himself from the district, is running elsewhere. So it is not filled, or there's no incumbent now. As sheriff, we have daily interaction with the legislature when they are in session. We enjoy a great reputation with the legislature across party lines, and I know my career will put me in good standing once I arrive at the State House. The reputation of sheriffs as solving problems is well known, and I believe I can be approachable by anybody that wants to seek my input on 35 years of public safety experience. I've greatly benefited from the fruits of collective bargaining, and I want the unions to know that I will be a champion for you, and my door will be open for you. Thank you.
Can I bargain for more here? No collective bargaining at this table. Okay. I know that all of you have put in a full day's work, so thank you for coming out tonight. I want to start my closing statement with a specific example. You all have heard that I support public education, and I want to help teachers. Their unions have been stripped of almost all of their bargaining power, and teachers are currently quitting in unprecedented numbers. I pledged to work with the two teachers' unions, the ISTA and the AFT of Indiana, to change this. I think we all agree that any self-respecting pro-labor candidate will work to reverse Indiana's right-to-work law, They will allow public employees to enter into collective bargaining agreements and support PLAs. Only by strengthening labor's bargaining position can workers receive their fair share of the pie. But it's also important that a candidate understands how to accomplish these goals. I'm committing to working to get things done in the legislature. I know how to do it. I've done it before. And I want to make sure that things pass to help us. Again, I'm Penny Githens, a pro-labor candidate running for the Indiana House in District 62, and I'm asking for your vote tonight. Thank you so much for being here.